Welcome to Casey Christine Presents. This is a lighthearted, multi-dimensional sanctuary space for multi-dimensional beings. I'm your host, Casey Christine. Hey. All right, so power. How do you feel about it? That is what we are going to be talking about today. And power is a word that can elicit a lot of different emotions for different people based on how it's used in certain, a context. But what I am realizing is so many of us have been disconnected from our power source. And that is why I feel like there is a lot of people that are on a genuine, sincere path of seeking their spiritual well-being, their emotional well-being, their physical well-being, and they are open to elevating themselves, yet this concept of coming back into their power or finding their willpower or just feeling powerful enough to take courage, to be willing to begin to trust themselves and to take the actions that we know are a part of manifesting, of co-creating, of birthing new paradigms. And so this entire episode is going to be about power. And So the reason why this one took a while to come up is so I do a lot of travel. And even prior to that, I have been coming up with a lot of resistance based on my microphone and my recording audio picking up radio stations and so many sounds around me. And what it taught me, it was really a great initiation because it taught me about being tuned in to channels that I didn't even know and acting as a receiver for maybe sources of power that I didn't want, but because I was not grounded properly, I was picking it up anyway. And I was really trying to control situations in order for it to happen based on a desired outcome that I was attached to. So what I have been initiated into here over the last couple months is the more I try to control an outcome and manipulate things versus facing the reality that's in front of me and pausing and coming back into divine direct revelation and accessing my resources at hand based on trying to force something to happen, the power of me even creating something like a podcast for clear audio got further and further away from me the more resistance that I felt and force that I applied. So yes, I will be talking a lot about that, but I want to keep focus and ask you, how do you feel about the word power? When you think of people in power, is that someone that you want to be? When we think about people who have power in our society, are those people that we want to be more like or less like? I really want you to think about what your paradigm around power is, because we're either going to allow power to flow through us and for us, right? So that we can be these powerful lights that are operating at our highest potential with full current blowing through us, right? In a very grounded, good wiring. Or are we going to be blocking and never recharging and saying, hey, power is bad, I don't even want any of it? No. So I just take a minute and ask yourself, take a breath. Let's take a breath together. How do I feel about power? Do I block my own power sources? Do I feel negative about people who are perceived to have power. What is my story around power? Just allow your higher self to offer you what it is that your program around power is. I'm just going to pause for 30 seconds so that you can really connect with your higher self, so that it can let you know how you really feel about power. Love it. Thank you for creating that space. It is within silence and being intentional of asking our higher self to reveal to us really what's going on, and listening with an open heart to receive directly from our higher self. I have really found that is how I am coming back into my power, is through creating sacred time to ask my higher self something, and then being willing to listen without trying to use logic or reason or manipulating what it is that I'm hearing in my mind, but to just really create time to be open for my heart. So we're going to be doing a lot of that on this channel, where I will ask you to ask your higher self, because my goal is not to ever be preaching or lecturing to anyone or saying, hey, this is what's right, this is what's wrong. It's to create a sanctuary space where we laugh a lot, have some fun, but to also invite people to return back to the ultimate power source, and that's only within. You have just had a conversation with your higher self. Congratulations. And it let you know how you feel about the word power. So in a cosmology that I am very passionate about, there is a teaching in there, and it talks about, whether consciously spoken or unconsciously, our every single word is manifesting our current reality, because a lot of times our words are attached, most all the time, right? Our words are attached to our feeling, how we truly feel, our intention. And it is the intention that's underlining that is what matters the most. There's a lot going on in the world right now. And what a lot of us in society have been taught through the programming is that those who have the most money have the most power. Those who are in roles of government officials, at the top of companies, have you, that they're the ones with all the power, and you're just powerless. You're going to have to comply. You can't do anything about it. These powers are too big to fight, so you just have to give in. And then we see what people are doing through special interest and through operating out of authoritarian type style leadership, tyrannical type governments, to where it's really become crony capitalism. I love capitalism. If you believe that people have the ability to run a business, you're a capitalist. If you believe that the people in communities can serve each other and have the right to make a living and a profit for themselves, that is capitalism. Now, what we have is corporations in bed with government and crony capitalism, to where special interests are protected, to where monopolies are protected, to where the corporations are being protected by the government, to where the small guys couldn't even come in and compete. So that's what's happened. I really want to just invite everyone to, if I ever say something that is maybe like, hey, if you don't consider yourself like a capitalist at all, but I say something like that, like my intention is to truly be unifying. And I am so open to also always changing what I feel about something and believe about something. If I am presented with different concepts, different ideas. I believe in diverse thinking. I believe in diverse ideologies. I believe in that we're all one at the end of the day. I believe that people who are listening to this channel and to podcasts like this have a genuine prayer to be of good in this world. And I want to be unifying, truly. And you and I are not going to agree on everything, right? We're just not. But those of us who feel empowered because we know that we can have our beliefs no matter what they are, and that we're safe to express them without feeling like somebody's gonna, cancel us or tell us that we're stupid or we're an idiot. It's like everybody's perceptions have formed why they are the way they are. And a house divided against itself does not stand. And what the quote unquote that society said powers that be are doing their darndest to attempt someone that would identify as a socialist and someone who identifies as a capitalist as enemies, right? That is what, and that is actually us removing our power and being so limited versus charged in our thinking. We're limiting our thinking. We're blocking some of the power versus taking something from here, something from there, and saying, okay, oh wait, you're for that too. You're for people and communities being able to earn a profit and support themselves and their families. Oh, and you're also for like protecting the land, and that's important to you. And you want to keep money like local so that people can have charities that are supporting people that are trying to get back on their feet in a local community. Oh my gosh, we actually believe a lot of the same things. It's just we've been labeled this or that, right? And so the more that we get attached to a label or say that we're this or we're not that completely, like there's a lot of being a socialist in me. There's a lot of being a capitalist in me based on what's associated with each one, right? There's some things on the Democratic Party that I actually like. And there's things on the Republican Party that I actually like. Majority of the things on both sides I do not like. And I consider myself more of a libertarian, but there's things on the Libertarian Party that I'm not for. It's like you're never going to fit in this box. And we've been trying to get people to fit in a box. And then as soon as we get people identified with something in that box, then everybody else is your enemy. Everybody else is your enemy, and you need to be divided. And that has stripped so many of us from our local community powers, staying unified in a household and in family. And so it's like, so again, just whenever I talk about concepts, I just want to invite everyone to please know that if it was in a certain context or that, it's like I also can't be tiptoeing around what it is that I say or what it is that I believe. And I would invite anybody else that I'm ever having a conversation to never have to worry about me getting upset or unable to have a dialogue with them because we don't see eye to eye. And there are people that I once did not agree at all with, and I listened to them to understand versus to give a rebuttal of why I would be right, but to understand. And I've shifted my perspectives on things. I'm like, and I sit with it and I'm like, oh my gosh, like I have completely shed an old concept of what I thought I was based on how I once perceived it. But now that I've seen it in this light, I actually agree with that person that I once thought was an idiot. Right? And I feel like that's me taking back my power because I'm not listening to what somebody else is telling me. Right? And I can tell you when I was trying to have my microphone and my wires not pick up channels, it was like these things that we don't even know that are all around us, that are programming us, that are in our sphere to pick up, right? And so it's like, that's why we have to be so intentional and willing to regain faith and trust in our communities and in people around us to do the same. Because the people are the ultimate ones with the power, right? The people are the majority, not the few that quote unquote have the most money, have the most power, whatever. but it is when the individual spirit is able to love others and connect with others, regardless of ideologies and beliefs, as long as everybody is honored in theirs, right? And people are not, being violent and acting out. I mean, no matter how we feel, no matter how passionate, I never condone violence unless it is literally a, kill or be killed situation. Right? We do not condone that at all. And same thing. It's like, I can be angry, I can be upset, I can be hurt, but I'm not going to condone myself yelling at the top of my lungs and throwing things in a conversation where anger has taken over me and lashing out on someone. I can express, I am angry right now. Can I have inflection in my voice? Can I, be crying? Yes. Should I be screaming at the top of my lungs at people and throwing things? Or can I communicate it in a good way how I feel? Right? That's taking back our power. But so many of us don't even want power unconsciously and subconsciously because of our concept around people who have power are evil, are greedy, are manipulative, are controlling. And so we shun it because we don't want to associate ourselves as someone with power. So we think that money comes with power, so we shun money. We think, and even in the spiritual world, there's been gurus that have had, been seen as just as absolute gurus and people of God that end up, having these masculine roles, and then they take advantage of the women that come through, the young women sexually. It can go crazy anywhere. It can go crazy in business. It can go crazy in your government. It can go crazy at a workplace, in the schools, in churches, right? That we're human, so it's going to be everywhere. Right? That it can go haywire. But one person that is operating it in their power, and when I say power, they're being embodied in the truth of who they are and where their power actually comes from. And they never feel like they need anyone else to change. They never feel like something else should be happening in order for them to, have the power to make a choice of an area in their life, or to come back into alignment, to let something go. They've realized that there's no external factors that matter because they're not a tree and they can flow to where they need to flow to be in the right current. They can plug back in at any time, no matter what is happening in the external world. And they remember that the outer world is incapable of informing them what they're actually here to co-create. They deal with what's in front of them, with the reality in front of them, with reverence and gratitude, and even seeing a horrific moment as a sacred teaching, a suffering as a sacred teaching, and all things that can be used for compassion, forgiveness, and healing, right? One operating in their power knows that, oh my gosh, okay, if I'm grounded, if I'm charging my own body, you have a computer and I have a computer. I mean, you don't plug your computer in, you don't plug your phone in, what happens? It dies. I'm not dependent upon using my computer and getting online based on what you're doing with yours, right? It's not. What you do does not depend on what I can do. And that is releasing all victimhood. And, so just my question to you is, are you willing to remember that you have the ultimate power source and that power is amazing? Power is good. And I'm not talking about force. I'm not talking about using your power to then have dominion over others. I'm talking about power for you, the power to create a healthy, joyful, abundant, prosperous life so that you can operate in your highest potential and be a force of good through not forcing anything. The irony, I love the teachings of the Tao Te Ching, because it's a very feminine medicine. The whole thing is just a paradox. It's all irony of, if you do less, you'll actually end up doing more. Do nothing and nothing's left undone type teaching. The ruler who rules the least actually rules the most, because the people are inspired to be good and to serve one another, and they're not feeling controlled, right? And so the whole thing is irony, but it's just this idea that coming back into our power is not to have power over anyone. In fact, somebody truly operating in the most power that we could operate in, from being of divine service to humanity out of love and compassion. There's nothing more powerful than being able to have an open heart and love others in the midst of war. Yeah, everybody's trying to tell us that, oh my gosh, all these horrible things are going on. Okay, yeah, in this area, but it's like in a community that's willing to love one another and work together and focus on the good and always find the good in people, that's power. But we will, at a subconscious level, block ourselves from coming back into alignment with our power. And I have a couple of words associated to power that I was looking at. I'm a word freak. I love, like, what does this word mean? But an electrical current. We are electrical beings. We are literally, our bodies are the light and fire of our own Holy Spirit manifested in form. Our electrons are holding our body together. It's a miracle. Just the sheer fact that we're alive on a planet of stardust. So, every single element on the periodic table is created when a star dies. So a star, when it goes through its process of death and gives way, it gives away the elements. Now, in order for the elements over iron, your more dense ones, that actually has to be like a super red, like just next level kind of star that dies for the nuclear fission for the denser elements and the metals. But we're literally stardust floating around in a planet in the universe. Like, can you just pause for a moment and just think about just the fact that your spirit has organized stardust into form and is allowing you to experience this form right now, no matter what's in front of you? It's a sacred moment. Sacred. Whether or not we want to acknowledge it or not, every single moment and experience in our life is sacred. Everything. And one who is willing to accept that and to embody that and to be in awe of the gift of life, of the oxygen moving through our lungs, that is coming back into alignment with our power. But if we're constantly, in a victimhood role, or we're just so worried about what others, if others are have all their computer charged, but ours doesn't, but we're not even charging ours in, right? It's like we do have a lot of viral programming that's in our computer, our mind, our supercomputer. And our feelings are actually a biofeedback communicating to us, like, kind of the circuitry of our body. And the conduction that's happening, the definition for conduction is the process by which heat or electricity is directly transmitted through a substance when there is a different temperature of an electrical potential between adjoining regions, without the movement of material. Our higher self is literally conducting the light and fire, the heat, the spirit, the Holy Spirit, represented by what? Fire, is literally organizing our bodies into form. Holy, holy, holy. You are literally in the house of divinity. That houses a power source that can charge you like no other, to create a paradigm of heaven on earth if we will but remember how much power is within us. You know, there's a saying on The Wizard of Oz, my dear, you had the power all along. There's no place like home. And so many of us are looking outside. You know, like my homeboy says, that kingdom is within. The kingdom is within. And do you take time to go within? Do you take time to ground? I'm not going to get into the lessons I learned about wire and grounding to only pick up the current that you want. But that was one of my biggest initiations with all my audio stuff, is in that I have to, if I'm going to be a receiver for the light and fire of my own Holy Spirit messages, I have to be grounded, properly grounded and embodied in my body, or I'm going to be picking up so many other signals that can cause haywire. Because too, when you're channeling a lot of power through something that's not grounded, we get things, you know, that's not properly wired and is maybe too many viral programs, and we're pumping so much electricity through something that has gone haywire. We see people then that, you know, are operating not in integrity, not out of respect for all that is, you know, all of those things. And it's just like, we deserve good people with good intentions that want to, you know, be there for our communities, be there for Mother Earth, you know, co-create new systems. We have got to come into all of our power, all of our love, and then we have to practice willpower. Now, willpower and being willing, though, that's the next level form of power. Because, right, we can be charged, but then what are we going to do with that charge, right? You can have a ton of electricity stored at the plant, but what happens if it just all stays at the plant and you keep putting electricity in it and you never flow it out? I mean, you would catch fire, right? And so it is about the dance, about receiving the power, flowing the power, then recharging. But it's what I have witnessed for others and for myself is that we literally started blocking our power. We didn't even want it, because the reality is, when we come back into alignment with just how powerful we are and what we have access to, the light and fire of our own Holy Spirit, the light and Father, you know, Holy Mother, Holy Father, current that bursts all life, that gives form to all life, that we can channel that through us. It's scary as hell. Because you don't want to what? You don't want to abuse it. You don't want to misuse it like you've seen others do it. And a lot of us don't trust ourselves. I know for me, I'm just now coming back into trusting myself to have healthy boundaries, trusting myself to know when I deplete myself too much, trusting myself to know when it's time to recharge, trusting myself to know when it's time to respond versus time to listen, right? There was a bit, because I was in such a reactive state and I wasn't properly grounded. I wasn't channeling my electrical current properly. I wasn't using my power for all the right reasons, right? It got very self-obsessive or self-absorbed because, you know, I felt that I was in a lack mindset or a scarcity mindset, or I was worried about what other people were going to think about me. I didn't want to offend someone, you know, all these reasons where I would trespass against myself again and again with my power. So I've had to come back into alignment with that. But what I realized is that I was so afraid of power and I didn't want it and I was blocking it. And now that I've been so intentional about loving it and being like, wait a minute, that's a viral program. Yeah, there's some people that misuse it, but what about the people that do amazing things with it? And what if we have more people like that? That's the only thing that's going to create the new paradigm that we all are so ready for, as everything else is burning itself to the ground from within. The government's not the answer. The school system's not the answer. Crony capitalism is not the answer. But you know what is the answer? You, me, doing it for ourselves, doing it within our families, doing it within our local communities, and letting that spread out. So I do have a meditation channel, and I will be doing a meditation on removing viral programming. These meditations are done with your higher self. I co-create the space, and then we just invite your higher self to come in and handle it for you. Our higher self knows how to do it. If we give our free will permission that we are ready to remove a viral program around thoughts and feelings and beliefs around power and our personal power, and to assist us in integrating and upgrading our beliefs at our spiritual DNA and carbon-based DNA level. That is what this meditation space is for. I'll list it here, but it is the channel called Sovereign Temples. Sovereign Temples. Your body is the house of God, whatever name you call God, the source of all that is, that's experiencing life and breathing through you. Your body is a temple, and you have free will. You can install or uninstall any belief that you choose. It's the power of free will. That doesn't get any more powerful than that. Woo, you got that kind of power. But it is your free will choice to use it or to not. But if you are ready to take back your power and to love power, love it. I love power. I love my power. I love using my power for good. I love flowing the power of life through me. I love using my power. It's amazing. All right. So if we want those kind of paradigm, I love using my power to generate abundance. I love using my power to serve other people. I love being in full and total alignment with my power. My power only comes from one place, from the source of all that is flowing from me. I don't need to take from any other, from what's flowing through me. Right. And so, oh my gosh, yes. And then people coming into that kind of alignment, get uplifted within the new systems that are being built for serving humanity is a beautiful thing. So, all right, guys, I hope you have a great day, and can't wait to talk about ways to really honor our willpower for being in divinely inspired action, because the path to action is through alignment and no other way. And when that's happening, alignment's happening, willpower flows. So I look forward to doing the meditation on the Sovereign Temples channel with you guys. And if you get on the text message notification at icommandmiracles.com, and you put in your phone number there, you will get a text for when these go live. And we do them as a collective. This is a quantum space. So of course, anytime you do it, all there is now. But you can do it in the linear timeline with your family of light. And that's really beautiful. But you do have to put your phone number in if you want the text. And again, that's icommandmiracles.com to get on that notification. So, all right, take back your power. Thank you for listening. Subscribe, like, and follow our social media platforms. And you can find all of our contact information on CaseyChristinePresents.com. I'll see you next time. All my love and light. Namaste.